I'm going to be right here. This is Patricia Starr. Hi. And we've got Shar. Nice to have you. And we've got Heidi here who's come to join us today. So I want to introduce June. June has been with us for one day now. This is your first day here.
Yes.
Although we met, 3 years ago, right?
Yes,
and we met at the Thermography conference, which I was a vendor there showing my wonderful deodorant that I make for keeping the breasts clear, because I'm also a cancer, I call myself cancer, and that's because I've gone through my own bout with cancer, and that's why 4 years ago now, I wanted to have thermography here in my office. This is the deodorant that I make,
that we highly recommend, that I use. I have used this morning.
Which is with activated charcoal to help pull out the products that are in our lymph system. We want to really take care of that lymph system. So really happy to have you with us. And this has been a transition for all of us. I know that Kristen was here. She was a trainer for many, many years, and she was our technician. And when I met you, I was so impressed because you had 17 years at that time, you know, in just being a colon therapist and a lymphatic drainage therapist, and now you've been doing this since what, 2008?
Correct,
right?
Yeah.
So welcome to June. Let's give her a little hand for joining.
Thank you.
Great. So let's hear a little bit about you, why you got started in thermography, and then we'll take some questions as well.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, and I was living in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and had a wellness clinic there, all told about 15 years. And as Patricia said, I was a colon hydrotherapist and a lymphatic therapist, and we had a group of about 10 people that we offered many different modalities there. And in 2008, I was approached by Dr. Ben Johnson, and many people know him from the movie The Secret. And
which one? I don't remember. He was in The Secret?
He was in it. Yeah, he was in it. He was after the second half in there.
Oh,
but yeah, I'll show you.
Cool. Yeah.
And also, he was very involved with the healing code. So he was a medical doctor and a naturopath, and was very interested in preventative care after many years of working with cancer patients and becoming very frustrated with after-the-fact treatments. And so he bought the thermography equipment and was looking for someone to partner with, and he approached me. And so we got started working together and worked together for 3 years, and then he eventually moved out to the West Coast, and so I bought him out. And but we traveled throughout Chattanooga and throughout Tennessee, through many different cities, Nashville, Knoxville. And back then it wasn't quite as well known as it is becoming today. But I saw very soon the value of thermography in empowerment and prevention, and helping people monitor treatments that they're doing. I like to say that there's a very large margin between healthy and cancer or a diagnosis, and thermography can help you identify those challenges so you can take action so you don't have that problem down the road.
Well, and for me, that's been really important because I've gone through breast cancer twice, and to know what I found out the second time I had it, and to know that there's thermography that can really help us see in a way that would be really important. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat, or you can you've got your audio, and if you'd like to just go, hey, I have a question, go ahead and do that, okay?
Well, I would like to know who you are and why you decided to join us here today.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi. Patricia, actually, you and I have met before. I'm a medical thermographer in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, and I was at the MedHot last convention.
Oh, you were there as well.
Oh, okay,
yes.
great.
Yes.
And June was there as well, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
okay. I'm glad you could join us. Good.
Yes, and you might remember some of the colleagues that were with me from this area were with the Air Restore product.
Yes.
We had a booth right by you.
Those. Yeah.
Yeah.
The little things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you could join us. Awesome.
I saw it come through this morning, and I happen to have an hour free, so I thought I'd jump in because the collaboration that you can have with other like-minded thermographers and how we can just get the word out about what we do and
Absolutely.
the benefit of sharing and caring, that that is so much needed. And
Oh,
I have a
we
I have a
a
holistic pardon. Okay, I have a holistic wellness center here in South Carolina, and we put some like-minded practitioners together. We have a functional nutritionist, Debbie, who you met at that event as well, has an ozone sauna.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Wonderful.
That is great. And then we have a phlebotomist there that can draw blood for all different kinds of reasons. So there's lots of different people coming through the doors that gives us the opportunity to share wellness.
Oh, good.
So.
And Lydia, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. And I am in Bradenton. And I got your email and I was curious to hear more. What I do in the world is I am a joyologist.
Oh, I love that.
Love
Yes,
it.
it is the study and practice of living life in a state of joy. And the reality is that our joy can be challenged by life circumstances and our own thinking and our own habits. And so I work with individuals. I'm certified with the Institute of Heart Math, teaching resiliency in light of stress, which seems to be a very popular topic in our world right now, especially. And I also help in helping my clients to connect more with their true selves, their essential self, their soul. And so I do soul realignment and angel intuitive services. I really meet the client where they are and work to serve them in their needs.
And
I
this
also
is
have
the time to bring joy into life, into life right now for sure. Right?
Yeah, it seems like a far stretch right now, but the fact of the matter is we are pretty powerful in our ability to manifest where we are moment by moment. And so helping to facilitate that through healthy living practices is part of our legacy as human beings to be able to do that.
Well, great.
Absolutely.
You need to become a part of our holistic community. It'd be great to have you because you're right here in Bradenton. That would be great.
I'd love to.
And we have a visitor here, Heidi, who this is your first time hearing about thermography, I think, right?
Yes.
Pull your
I
chair
know.
up so we can see you a little bit more.
Here I am.
Hi.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it. Just I work here in the office doing massage therapy, and so I see the signs, but I don't know too much about how it works and how you diagnose with it, or what you find with it when you get into thermography.
And being a massage therapist for 14 years, right? It'd be really good for you to know about what's possible here. And then you can turn your clients onto it.
Yeah,
so let's
exactly.
talk a little bit about that, June, okay?
Thermography is imaging the body with a thermal camera, is FDA approved, and so anything happening inside of your body has a surface presentation. So if you have something that is under functioning, it will have a presentation. If it have a developing pathology, inflammation, infections, they all produce heat, so you would see more of a heat presentation. And so the doctors that do the interpretations, I am a technician, I'm not the interpreter. They're trying to identify these different characteristics so they can see something before it becomes actually a diagnosis, so you can take action, which it could be anything from, if you have fibrocystic breasts, we were talking earlier today about essential oils, iodine, getting off of caffeine, food sensitivities, different things like that. And then once you start on a program, you can monitor that what you're doing is effective. And so, we do full body, but we also, I think it more started with breast imaging. And there is a difference between thermography and mammograms in that we are looking at that function of the body, that big margin, as I said, between healthy and cancer, and not just looking at something that's already existing, like mammograms are looking at structure. They're looking for something that's already there. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely. We have a health discovery tool that nobody else has.
Exactly. So you know Kristen Burton.
Oh yes, Kristen trained us.
Okay, so Kristen is, I bought my second thermography business, third actually, from her. And
Oh,
so
wonderful.
Kristen that Patricia was referring to, she's a dear friend and colleague.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's her health discovery. So now, that since she sold her business, she's focusing more on the training and her
Right.
health discovery.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually part of the board of directors for that group. I'm the chair for the publicity and promotion and advertising for
Well, I must have voted for
IAMP.
you just recently because I I did the voting for the new board.
So I love the fact that you talked about it as a health discovery. And I
Mhm.
think one of our challenges we were talking about earlier is not only to educate people who've not heard of it or
Mhm.
utilized it, but also to educate our practitioners to really
Yes.
utilize it as a tool, and a really great tool for them with their
Yes.
clients. And I think that, for me, that's been a challenge because they kind of get stuck with their own like diagnostic tools.
Mhm.
And if you start with thermography, then you can verify it with a lot of your other tools. Do you find that's the case? Sonia?
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly what we stress for, getting clients to come find us at our holistic center. I too, like you, I'm a breast cancer survivor for 23 years.
Wow.
I found my own tumor the day Princess Diana died.
Oh, really?
And it was a little itty bitty tiny green pea sized something.
Yep.
And 3 days later, while we were hanging around watching the Princess Diana thing while we were on vacation, I could feel it growing under my skin like Jiffy Pop. And it was a centimeter in size 3 days later, right at the surface of the skin near the nipple. I came back to here where I live and went to the doctor and had a surgery and removed it, had a lumpectomy. And of course, they wanted to do the chemo and radiation and everything. And I sought out alternative medicine. I did ozone treatments back when nobody even heard of it, what it was back then.
Yep.
And found a doctor in Raleigh, North Carolina. I live in South Carolina. Spent 6 weeks with him and came back fabulous and have been on this walk for all these years. And of course, the FDA shut him down because he was doing good things like ozone therapy.
Must have been
There's
effective.
something
And,
about good things that's not so good or something, right?
Yeah. And consequently, by learning about all the different ways to monitor this, I learned of thermography at his office because he was the doctor in the US that partnered with somebody that brought it from England all those years ago.
From England.
Yes. So for all those years, I was driving to North Carolina or flying. And one morning 5 years ago, I woke up going, wait a minute, why don't I find out how I can do this?
Good.
So that's how I met Dr. Carol and Kristen and, joined the MedHot group and bought the equipment and have been blessing lots of people all these years with early health discovery.
Well, and I'd like to share this because the camera that you use is a very, it's top of the line.
It
really
is. It's probably the same floor camera
yes.
that you use.
And
Yes.
I actually had a client recently who came in with her thermography from Virginia.
Oh,
And she just got her scan from Kristen. This was several months ago. And when I compared the two, it was unbelievable. The difference, because the detail that this top of the line camera has is absolutely phenomenal. But I know we're going ahead of ourselves, and I would like to hear some questions from you because you don't really know that much about it.
Okay. So how does it, when you're taking the imaging, I see that there's red and yellow, green. So what do those indicate?
Well, and the color, actually, I have a fun little thing I have right here. I don't know, I'm going to turn my computer around. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it's an intuitive interpretation of the heat scale. And it's kind of funny because it starts with the red, it's at the white, it's the hottest, and then it goes down. And as it gets cooler.
Turn it a little tiny bit more.
Can you see that?
Yeah,
that's good.
But it says right here, the red says clothing catches on fire. And then at the bottom it says, really cold, damn cold, and really damn cold. But it's just kind of a fun thing on my PowerPoint because that would indicate the heat. So now if you have, like, as I said earlier, something that's developing or inflamed or infected, it's going to show the heat. But if you have something under functioning like your thyroid or the blood's not flowing through your heart properly, that's going to show cool. So it's not just that red is bad and blue is good. It's according to the area of the body. Additionally, like with estrogen dominance, we were talking earlier about how there's a modeling effect in the chest. And then with adrenal fatigue, you might see modeling in the upper abdomen area. So there's not just in the colors, it's in the
Intensity.
intensity and presentation. So, and like lymphatic congestion.
Right.
And but one of the other things that we emphasize is, that you can monitor when you do start on the program, it helps you to see the improvement. So you don't need to know how to interpret. All you need to do is read the report written by the doctor, which brings up another point that a lot of people say, well, my doctor doesn't accept this. How do I deal with that? And I say, well, not all doctors can read an x-ray, but all doctors can read a report written by a radiologist. So all they need to do is read the report written by the doctor, and that will give you your information. That we do send copies of the images because it is interesting, but you're only getting that one palette. You're not getting all the different ones that indicate the blood flow and the vascular, everything else. And so when people ask my opinion of what I see, I pretty much say I'm not going there. Let's wait for the report, because there are certain things like you look at with inflammation that are very, very clear. But when we're starting to get into like I saw a woman yesterday that has been diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, and she's had 2 chemo treatments, and they're trying to do the lumpectomy. She's got it scheduled for the lumpectomy in July. And I'm telling you, if I hadn't have known that she had a biopsy and had cancer, I never would have known, in my opinion, because there was nothing there. And I've seen that.
After the biopsy happened, right?
Yeah.
What was a couple months after it happened, or what?
She was diagnosed just a couple of months ago, and she's just done the 2 chemo treatments. But I have some examples.
So here, let me just ask you. So she had a lumpectomy. They took it out.
She has not had the lumpectomy
Oh,
yet.
interesting.
She just had 2. The reason she's doing it in this order is because they're throwing anything they can at her, and she can't go in the hospital with the COVID-19 right now. And so, but my point being is, I don't even know if she really does have breast cancer, but I'm not. But
Bingo. Yeah.
I see that all the time, and we were talking about doctors that own chemotherapy clinics, and so if their diagnosis is cancer, and even stage 0, well, you need to get on chemo. I didn't tell you this one. I had a woman, Mary, up in Knoxville, and she was in her late 70s, and she had a thermography. She had been having them for years, and one has something suspicious. So Dr. Christine Horner does my interpreting. She recommended an ultrasound. So it came back. So they did a biopsy because they weren't sure, and it had abnormal cells, but not cancer. And the doctor said, well, why don't you just go ahead and do the radiation in case the cancer pops up?
What?
And I'm saying, Mary, I don't think you should do that. You really need to think about it, because we've become friends. And she said, well, my doctor will be so mad at me if I don't. And
it's all about money. It's all about money.
Almost killed her. What was the symptoms that she got from the radiation?
Oh, well, first off, her breast looked like she had it put in a microwave. It was horrible. It looked just burned. It was just horrible.
How much radiation did she get?
I don't even know. I know the number 13 treatments comes up, but she didn't even have cancer.
No.
And so anyway, we see a lot of that. So, and also I'd like to say that no test is a standalone test. They see something in one test, whether it be a thermography or a mammogram, they're going to send you for an ultrasound or whatever.
June, when I want somebody to do a project on my house, for example, I get 3. I get 3 opinions, and when you're looking at 3 different health diagnosing tools, then you've got a better way, because you can't see anything from one side of the box. You can only see it from looking at it from other sides of the box.
Absolutely. And so like I do, using the word tool, I always say this is another tool in the toolbox. And why not use it? It's there. And we're not saying, I don't tell people don't do mammograms, because it's their decision, and as an adult, people can choose what they want. But why not add this to the toolbox? And if there's something comes up in the thermography, then you can consider the whatever.
So I want to mention Heidi here is she's a new mom for the 3rd time. She's now 7 months old, right? Yeah, I saw her picture on Facebook. Really adorable. So for a mother, what are some of the considerations around thermography, both for herself and for her children, that you would recommend?
Well, if you're nursing, we have to wait because that could mask anything. So once you've
Because
got,
there's heat, there'd be
yes,
heat there.
you'd have to wait till 3 months after you're nursing. But I had when I was doing colon hydrotherapy, a client. This was before I started thermography, and she was nursing and had started having problems. And it turned out that she had the inflammatory breast disease, and so that usually by the time you have a symptom from that, it's too late, and it was too late. She had a toddler and a baby. And then I had another woman who had several children. I think she had 4 children, and one was just not very old, but she was not nursing any longer. And she had a lot of breast pain in her left breast and been to several doctors, couldn't figure it out. And it turned out it was her heart. You know, we saw from the image from the back that.
Oh, you can see it's stuff going on for the back, for the
Yeah,
heart. Is that
typically
right?
for heart, you see images in the back.
Mhm.
And that's why I always do the back image. Do you do that?
Yes. Oh, yes. Mhm.
And what I've started to do, since that, if we do that, it's 9 images, and I talked to Dr. Horner about this, is I always like to do the last image, which makes it the 10th image, you know, even the amount, is I do it with the arms down. That same image you do with the back, I say, just turn around, hold your chin up. And so we just do that. The same one they have on the Women's Health Study.
Right. Yes. With the
Sometimes
chin.
women have issues up in here, and when the arm's up, it distorts it.
Right. But then, yeah, when they're yes.
And so there's no extra charge for that. So I just go ahead and do that 10th.
Yeah, and an extra picture.
Yeah.
I mentioned about the children because of that story that I told you when I had a client whose grandson was having gut problems, and they'd gone to 4 different doctors, and they didn't know how they were going to put him on prednisone. And he was 6 years old, right? And so when Kristen did the thermography on him, she could see the mottling in the lower abdomen, which meant his diet wasn't really good. So all we did is give the proper dietary information to the mother. She changed him completely. And what's really cool about thermography, not just getting one image session, but come back and see the progress. With that, we saw the clearing and his gut, he was out of pain. And just by seeing something that none of the doctors that he saw could see was going on, we were able to see it in thermography. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And children improve so quickly. So I'm sure you've got a million stories like this too.
Yes. Oh, so many interesting things. And to address what you just were talking about, we have someone in our office that is a functional nutritionist. She's called Happy Tummies of the Lowcountry.
Lovely.
And she works with all kinds of medical diagnostic tests, hair analysis, stool test, urine analysis. And then she takes all of those tools that she has, and we include thermography usually in that mix too, which gives the client such a fabulous picture of their health. Absolutely. And how they can fix it. Because they've already by that time exhausted all kinds of doctors that all want them to be on pills and surgery and this and that and this and that.
Okay. Yes, exactly. I agree. And so that's a great place where it can validate the practitioner and what they're doing. And, and there's that powerful visual image.
That you've never seen before. So Lydia, do you have any questions that you'd like to put forward?
Well, you know, more of an observation and a question. The observation is that I also represent Beamer as a distributor. You probably familiar.
Beamer.
Yeah. So with that community and even with HeartMath and the stories and the sharing that I hear from clients and from people around the world who are inspired and turned on by alternative approaches to well-being and getting away from the pharmaceutical nature of our culture. And so it's both inspiring to hear these results and the feedback and the depth and the humanity of these evaluations, and not the clinical, but the humanity of the whole person.
That is a beautiful statement. Yeah, beautiful.
Well, speaking of the Beamer, I had a woman come to see me at a clinic in Lake Mary, and she had frozen shoulder and couldn't put her arms up for the position like this. And it was just completely inflamed. So the doctor where I was working put her on the Beamer, and she came back in and could just move her arm, put it right up, and the inflammation just in that 10 minutes on the Beamer was significant.
I love what
Yes.
what we said, Lydia, about the humanity
Of it. Mhm.
of this kinds of approach to our health and well-being.
Because we are empowering people. We're not scaring people. We're giving people that opportunity to know what's going on so they can make those informed
All about
decisions.
choice. It's
Mhm.
all about choice.
Well, it's both choice and it's education,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
we don't know what we don't know
Mhm.
until we're invited into an inquiry of what that might be, where we can feel safe going in for counsel, for advice. And it sounds like in many cases, your clients come to you after having exhausted the other traditional modes. And so my question, because we're kind of preaching to the choir here in our conversation, because
We're also on Facebook Live, so they can't talk to us, but go ahead.
but I would imagine that those who would be drawn to this conversation, whether we're hearing their voices in this moment or not, are curious, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, I do say that we do not get, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, and so my question to this group is how to effectively, without threatening, but how to effectively continue to educate and inspire and empower, as you were saying, June, empower people for their health and not to be victims of unintended victims of protocols that may not be in their highest and greatest good.
We do, you're right. We see that all the time. And oftentimes people do come to us because a friend that cares about them, that's familiar with thermography, might recommend they have a friend that's diagnosed with breast cancer. Well, before you jump on the bandwagon and do everything that they've said, take a step back and educate yourself and try some of the different tools that are available. So when you do make a decision, you feel informed. Because so often I do hear people say, if I'd only known that back then, I wouldn't have made this decision. But what I was going to say is, and along with what you had said, is that we do not get a cross section of society. We really do get more of an informed, educated person that honestly has the funds to do it because insurance doesn't cover it. And so hopefully as time goes by, that will change.
Yeah.
But also, and to my benefit, is that I learn something new every day. We were talking earlier about how we feel like we're conduits, because I put people together sometimes when people are having challenges or unusual circumstances and say, I know someone else that has this. Would you like to see if, would you like me to introduce you? So we can, all change happens from the ground up. And so we are starting to take more. We're not listening to the doctors as like they're the know-all be-all authoritarian. Everybody's becoming more educated because of the internet.
And they're becoming more educated too. I mean, I think our opportunity, what I'd like to do is have more what we used to call brown bag lunch kind of conversations, which is kind of what this is. You had an hour you took off and you're able to join us, and that's really great. We'll do that when you come once a month. It'll be really great because people need to be educated. I think, Lydia, that it kind of is the direction I think we're all going, is how we can educate our people. Do you have any other questions, Heidi?
The other question I was thinking is, when you are doing the imaging, so you do the upper and the lower, and is there any other areas?
We do a full body study, which actually we even do the bottom of the feet. We do everything. You do keep on your panties. We don't do the groin area. So you have the option of what we call the breast scan, the women or men's health study, and then the full body. And so those all cover different things. They have a protocol that we follow. We don't make up anything. They're very specific about the health intake, the questionnaire, the narrative, and they have a template for the images. So as I say, I like to keep in my lane. I like to just be the technician and leave the interpreting to the doctor. And so one of the things we were talking about earlier is, it just, amazingly enough, just doing images of the hand, there can sometimes be a gloved effect that is an indication of blood sugar issues. There's dental infections. I mean, it goes on and on, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, yes. Matter of fact, we've been accused of having a crystal ball because when we can see some, intense redness somewhere, we go, oh, do you have a dental issue? No. Oh, really? Well, my favorite story is it was Christmas week, and one of our clients came in with this horrible, intense, right up in here. No, there's nothing. I don't feel anything.
It was, what was it, bright red? Was that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Big
okay.
old red, like it's redder than my nail polish. And so that was Monday. And then she took off to drive to, the family's Christmas on Wednesday. She's on I-95 driving up, and she calls us and says, you guys told me I had a problem. Oh, my gosh, I got to find an emergency dentist. She needed to have a root canal.
I know. And this
Christmas
is
Eve.
We were also talking about you when you don't know you've got that infection, you can find yourself in a crisis, and you will have that root canal, even
That's
though
right.
you may know it's not the best thing.
Well, you could have taken care of it in a different way before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And I was telling a story about a guy that I saw that had been to multiple doctors because his face was swollen with a rash, and they couldn't figure it out. In fact, putting on steroids and everything, and it turned out it was dental. He had some major dental issues. And I knew it right when I first saw it. Of course, the doctor interpreted it that way, but, and he had been to so many doctors that couldn't figure it out.
Yes. We work closely with a number of holistic dentists here locally.
Yes,
And I've even been chairside at their office with them with their big fancy equipment.
cool.
There I am with my little computer and my camera, and they're seeing things that I could see with my equipment that they couldn't see with theirs. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we have some really good holistic dentists here. So
Where are you located? You're in
well, I live in St. Pete, Florida, but I'm here today in Sarasota. But I travel. I have about 35 locations throughout North and Central Florida.
Okay, so you've got all the Kristen's old.
Yes, and then I bought out Maria Beluccio's business. I was doing thermography for 9 years in Tennessee, and then sold that business and I was with Meditherm then.
Oh.
Came down here and bought out Maria's business when she retired. It was the Med Hot, which, Carol and Peter Lando, probably the guy you referred to from England.
Right.
That's who I was, they were partners at one point, and then she split off.
Yes.
And they're an excellent company, but I do like Med Hot better because their camera is a better quality camera, and I like the software, and I love Carol and David. They're just so supportive.
Yeah. And the interpretation is fabulous.
Well, I think it's important. I often get the question when people ask about thermography here, who's the evaluator and how is the organization? And I think that is such a great
huge
thing.
part.
It's very huge, and that people can have the confidence that we have the physicians looking at these and giving the recommendations, because you can't go normally to your regular doctor, if you will, because they have not been trained on how to read it. So to them, it's Greek. And I would love to get more of the acupuncturists utilizing this as well, because it'd be helpful. Yeah.
Well, I do a thing on my new website, which should be going up next week, of not all thermography. Well, it's not that one, but it's a little bit more updated. Not all thermography is the same, and the things to consider is the quality of the camera, the technician, the interpreting doctor, the and then the technical support. And so I go into all of that because people will say, well, this other place, Meditherm, they'll do it for $185, and I charge $200 for breast imaging. And so, well, you consider what they, that I think
you get what you pay for.
Yeah, and then also the follow-up afterwards. If you don't know what to do with your report, you haven't benefited from it.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
So what I want to say real quick, because we're running out of time.
We got about 5 minutes.
I wanted you, if you would just look up my website or email me, and so we can connect up. And
I'd love to.
The woman from Bradenton, Lydia, you should come to the meetings. I'm just joining now that Kristen has started. It used to be the chamber here.
Patricia, the holistic community.
You sound so interesting. I'd love to talk to you and get to know you better.
Okay, what city is this meeting in?
Sarasota, Florida. Why don't you take a vacation and come down with us?
Sounds grand.
Website for it.
Yeah, we have a website. It's called theholisticcommunity.com or .org. I'm sorry.
What is it? The
holisticcommunity.org.
And then I'm FloridaMedicalThermography.com.
FloridaMedicalThermography.com. Okay.
And
Are you saying the holistic community or just holistic?
holistic community all together, right?
The word the.
I'm just thinking about children because you've got 3 of them.
Yes, oh, you can't bring that. I'm sorry.
Right. It's, ages 7 months to 8 years old,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So there's ways that, and I don't know what your plan is how you do children.
I've done babies. I had one baby that was born with a lymphatic abnormality, and so we did the thermography on the baby. But once again, like we were saying, dental injuries. But if a child is having, it's according to if you're having a challenge with the child's health and you're not getting answers from the conventional medical community, you certainly want to add that to your toolbox. But I don't see that many children. Most women that start with the imaging, I would say in their early 20s. What would you say that's about the age?
Yes, it's a real challenge to get them to realize that there's an alternative and they don't have to start with everything else that everyone's told them to do. And when you get a client in that's had 30 or 40 mammograms in their lifetime, holy cow. I mean, it's a lot of radiation if you think about it.
Yeah, cumulative radiation too.
Yeah. Yes.
It breaks my heart. I had one woman in her mid to late 20s who knew me and knew that we did thermography here, but she discovered that her doctor discovered that she had breast cancer, and she was completely freaked out. And she was just about to get married, and of course at that age you're childbearing, you want to be able to create a family, and I just said to her, come in, let's take a look at the thermography, let's work with it. And what's hard is that, like you were saying, these young women don't know that this is available, and yet they're prime candidates to be empowered by what we can see, and then different protocols that they can incorporate, which of course we talk about skin brushing and we talk about self-massage and diets, all a part of really being on that health journey that takes us to be optimally helpful.
Absolutely.
And as far as children are concerned, when their diet is off and they're not feeling well, instead of listening to what the doctor has to say, get a thermography and take a look. And look, it could be just diet, and you just clean that up.
And nowadays with the food-like substances that people feed their children, and with the GMOs and the electromagnetic field, and there's the cumulative effect of all of that, and the vaccinations.
Yes.
That the children are not as healthy today as they used to be.
And then we were also talking about the effect of not only radiation as the electromagnetic frequencies that we're exposed to, but now we have 5G that's coming in, and it's going to be around the schools, and it's going to be around the hospitals, and that's more impact at a cellular level that's going to show up as inflammation, right? Which is what thermography is so great at.
Yes, absolutely. And once again, when you do your protocol, the improvement that you're getting from it. So validating the practitioners that you're working with, as well as the choices that you're making to improve their health.
Yeah.
Do any of you ladies incorporate the use of CBD in your businesses?
I'm a plant medicine therapist, so I've been using essential oils and herbs for over 25 years, so it's been really interesting to watch CBD come into play, because it's all like, woohoo, making lots of money, and for me it's like, well, wait a minute, it's got terpenes in it like everything else has terpenes in it, so let's use it in a balanced way. So I do make an arthritis blend cream that you can use in your hand. And then I do tell people, I tell people to go get tested for because there's so many strains of the indica, the all of that. It's a matter of finding which strain works best. And I think that industry is still very, very young to really know that. It's really a hit or miss kind of thing. So instead of taking it internally, I say, go get whatever test you can. You have
Yes,
some thoughts
yes.
on
Well, I'm actually a co-founder of a company out of Carlsbad, California.
that? Hmm.
And we have had some amazing images, the before and after, quickly. And
Well,
Really?
send us.
Interesting.
would you like some information? I
Yeah,
mean,
Send it to us.
in
Let me
three
give you-
or
Let me give you my email. It's Patricia at essentialstar with 2Rs.com. And
Essential Star, STA.
essentialstar.com.
Okay,
Star with 2 Rs. Yeah.
okay.
So that's fascinating. So you're using the thermography along with the CBD application.
Yes, yes. And when you see the difference in 4 or 5 minutes because of this product that's nano amplified, and I even have a picture of my own husband's leg where he had an incident 7 years ago with like a human flesh-eating disease on his ankle from having some bacteria he must have picked up at the gym on a leg lift. And had all these horrible, reactions for a long time with IVs of antibiotics that just didn't clear it up. Finally, colloidal silver, a patch, cleared it up. But he's been living with what they thought was gout for 5 years. His foot kept swelling up. In one day, he took this product and his leg started oozing the bacteria that was living in his leg, and
Woo-hoo.
he's never had a problem since.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. I'd like
Yeah.
it, and love to see some of your before and after imaging. So
Oh, I will. Oh, the images that I've done with thermography before and after.
Yeah.
Example. A client comes in.
An infomercial. They hired me to take the images for a CBD oil, and I've seen exactly what you're
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah.
That it's amazing.
And we have the same the images that Kristen did with the ion chip that we're bringing in from Germany to put on your phone, so that
yes.
it totally eliminates that heating effect and really is very protective.
Oh,
That's what thermography is so great for.
yeah. Oh, I'd be interested in that.
Well, you
for-
see thermography, particularly I've seen some things about when the airports where they're checking people's temperatures. They use the FLIR camera. You see the foot things, so
Right.
thermography, and also industry where they're looking for heat and air loss in buildings. So it's becoming much more understood and accepted, not just in medical use, but in everything. So we're all second time, but we're getting there.
Yes.
It's an exciting time, and so grateful that you guys joined us today. It's been really
thank you
great
so
talking
much.
with y'all.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this once a month. I think this is really fun.
Great.
Thank you all for joining us, and hope to see both of you in the future here soon.
Love
Thanks
to.
for joining us, Lydia. Nice hearing from you. We look forward to seeing you in the future, okay?
Look forward to seeing you in real person, in live 3D reality. But right now, in this reality, it's pretty sweet. So thank
It is. Yeah.
Take care.
Y'all have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.